Hello, FlossTube Stitchers. Happy Father's Day. I'm getting a little bit of a later start on the video today because 7 of us went to brunch earlier and that turned into like 5 hours as it can. So we went to First Watch and used the app to kind of get in the queue. And so we didn't wait too long after we got there. But by the time we ate, there were 7 of us. By the time we ate and chatted and took photos outside, and then we visited with my brother for a while until he decided it was time for him to drive back home. He lives northwest of Chicago, and he was trying to avoid what he thought would be heavy traffic times going through Chicago. So anyway, a little bit later start, but I don't really have a whole lot to talk about today. I can only think of one thing that I stitched for my dad over the years. It was a stamped cross stitch. Maybe it was kind of a combination surface embroidery stamped cross stitch piece for golf. He was an avid golfer. And I have a number of other charts that I was thinking of stitching for him, specifically for his office. They were in their latest home, probably about 40 years. This was, after the kids were grown. And the room that he chose for his office had like a tiny floral wallpaper. And I just kept thinking one day they would redo his office like they redid some of the other rooms, and maybe he would get rid of that and have a theme for his office, and then I would know what to stitch. I didn't know if it would be another golfing piece or I think most of the patterns that I collected over the years were pertaining to the Civil War, which is another one of his passions to research. So they never did. They never changed the wallpaper. He never redecorated the room. So anyway, I did stitch some other things for my mom, and I brought those today as my vintage stitches. This was most likely for Easter because anytime that we didn't go out for brunch on Easter, we had dinner at my parents' house. And it does have some stains on it. I see a pretty visible one like right there. But if you think about it, if a bread cloth is used in a basket for biscuits, muffins, cookies, whatever, all of those have butter and oil in them. And so nobody even had to spill something on it for it to have stains, if you know what I mean. That's kind of what it looks like to me. It looks like maybe it was just touching food. There's some other, minor things going on. So I think I'm going to clean this up and maybe use this around Easter, springtime, just to decorate a corner somewhere. And this was most likely a Leisure Arts book because they did have a vast number of bread cover books. Then I can't remember what these towels were called, but it's like is it jacquard? I don't know how to say that, but it's that kind of design. I looked it up, and I don't think anyone still carries these, unless it was, I don't think it was a Leisure Arts product, because I didn't check their site. But anyway, I most likely did this for Valentine's Day or for her birthday, because she really did love to bake. So, and this also has some stains on it, even though I know she never let anyone wipe their hands on it, just from handling and, being in storage and that. So I think I'll wash those up one of these days. And then our new shop model for today is another Halloween by Marlene. It's called Current Mood by Autumn Lane Stitchery. And I really wasn't going to put this out yet because I wasn't ready to place another order with them direct. And they don't use a distributor. So I just had this, I got it the same time that I did the other ones I've shown you recently, but I kind of put it away. And I believe I showed it to somebody. Somehow I discovered that this was in a Just Cross Stitch Halloween magazine. And we still had a couple left. I have sold one of them because I showed it on social media and somebody wanted me to save it for them, but it was the 2021 issue. The original model was done on, I think it might have been Pansy. I looked it up, but I already forgot what it said. pansy or something like that from Picture This Plus. So that was the original, and Marlene chose a kind of a funky limey green for it. But I was pleased that I could sell the last of these magazines as well. And if you don't already collect these, they're $9.99, and this one has more than 50 projects in it. Any one of these projects in here could be $7 to $10 to $12, whatever, you know, if it were printed on its own. So did I look up how much? I think Current Mood, I did look it up. It was in my Facebook post the other day. So I think it's $11. So for 10, you can get the same design in all these other ones. So anyway, I was glad to see that we still had some of those. And then I will, you know, reorder the new ones. So that's that. And then I thought I was going to have a finish for today. It's good to have goals because it makes you work a little bit harder, but just some other things came up. We had a little get together at my brother's house last night too, just to celebrate Patrick being in town. And it was his birthday on Friday, so it was kind of like a birthday, Father's Day, whatever. And my brother Mark made pizzas on the grill. And so, you know, we were there during the evening, and then half of today was busy. And so I didn't quite finish, but I was working on Bee Sampler by Little House Needleworks. And all I have left to do are the 3 bees, the little tiny bees. And then you probably can't see it here, but there's a little white stitch in between all of the triangles of brown. That's all I have to do. And then wind under, do you want to see my back? Woof. So the lettering is a little tedious to wind under your threads to make sure that there's no loose stitch or that it comes undone. And I tend to save those. I leave the tails on the top while I'm stitching so they're not in the way, but I pulled them to the back for this video. But I like to do that all at one time. I like to do it sitting at a table rather than in my recliner, and I take it seriously. Sometimes I take my glasses off so I can see better, and I just make sure that I really connect the threads well for those reasons. And so that I have that to do left as well. So then I was thinking, you know, those little bees are only like 5 or 6 stitches, and what do you do with all those tails? Where do they go? Where are you supposed to put them? And I thought one possibility would be for me to try the pin stitch again. You know, I'm kind of afraid of it, but maybe this would be a good opportunity to try it again, and then I can show you if it works, and it would be a good tip. My other thought was that I might use some little tiny bees. There is a bee Mill Hill Treasure, but I've already used it on a bee piece, and I don't like to use the same things if something is likely to be in a grouping together. Plus, I just like to use different products. But they're really tiny, so none of the other buttons I had at home would work. I have a lot of bee buttons, but most of them were, you know, 1/2 inch or 1 inch. They were too big of a size. So I had recently, not with this in mind, because I hadn't even decided to stitch this one yet, but I was just placing an order with just another button company for, I think, Perfect Snowman, when that chart was re-released. And I decided to order some spring and summer things. And so I ended up getting a lot of bees. So this is the only one that I thought might work. I'll put them against the white because I think you can see it better. So this is just their basic bee. And the color yellow's not bad, and it has the white wing, so it kind of goes. This is the only one. When I laid them on, I just felt like it looked a little busy. They're a little bit bigger, but not too much bigger than the stitched bee. But I just thought maybe it was too much. That's the only one that I thought would work, but I might as well show you the rest of them. So that was just the bee. This is the one that they call Country Bee. So it has more of a off-white wing and a more like butterscotchy yellow for the body. This is their Bumblebee. This is their Prairie Bee. And I actually thought this looked really good with the colors, since there is that little triangle border of brown, and then the 3371, you know, is the black for the border and the lettering. So I thought this looked good, but they're just a tad bit too big. I need to use those on something though, because I think those are really cute. And then the last one, I already had these. And there, of course, each of the bees comes in like 4 sizes, but I was trying to do just the little ones. This is the Mosey and Me bee, and there is that little one. This is definitely too big, and the wings are too yellow, and I didn't think it would work for this piece, but just thought I'd show you the bees. So that's that, almost done. Then the next thing I was working on was the Scarlet House Land That I Love, that was from one of my freebie Februaries. And since I showed it last, I put the heart field in the blue corner, and then I believe I did some more red. So anyway, that's coming along. I should have it done by the 4th. That was my goal. So those were the only 2 pieces I worked on this week. We got 2 automatics. One was from JBW, and it was her new, let's see, yeah, her new Christmas ornament books. I wanted to make sure that this was the side that showed all of them. She shows them all on a tree on the back, but this is the one that shows each project. And some of these are quite old, and the charts had already been discontinued, and you know, you have to take your models down and can't show them anymore. But in each of these books, I think she does add some new designs. So in this particular one, that one is brand new, and that one is brand new. And this one, you can't tell, but this one has reindeer on it. I'm like, I think I have to stitch that. But that's really sweet too. So if you like her designs, these are a really good deal. 20 designs for $20. So this is book number 5, and all of the other compilation books are also still available. Then we got the much anticipated Plum Street Sampler auto, and we have, let's see, I guess I'll do this one, Christmas in July, and there is a verse there, but she suggests that if you don't want it on there, you can leave it off, and then in place of the word see, you can put another snowflake or pinwheel. So I thought that was a nice suggestion for somebody that didn't want the verse. The verse says, God bless this land from hill to sea, Christ be the gift to set us free. You also could just do the house or just do the scene, and they would be lovely pictures on their own. All right, then Freedom Pin Roll is what she calls the first of her stitching sushi series, because she gives you directions for how to roll it up into a little pin roll, and she said from the side it looks like sushi. So I really like this, and I know that I could get a long skinny frame since we have a custom framer, and the other reason that I was thinking of not doing it this way is that I haven't been to a retreat in ages, and there really isn't a reason for me to keep my needles that way. Do you know what I mean? So I thought I would do it this way, but it is kind of an odd size for a framed piece. But got the idea that maybe I would take the lettering and redo the spacing so that I could put them underneath. So getting my graph paper out for a couple projects lately, so I'll let you know what I decide. Then we have Summer Moon. Wow, look at all that stitching. Look at all those bricks. But that is just gorgeous. And then the companion piece is Mini Moon. So kind of a reconfigurated version of that with some of the same elements, but the smaller house. And so that's Mini Moon. And it really should be called Summer Mini Moon, but she said when she designed it, she didn't realize it was going to be a series. Tell me what your favorite Plum Street piece is that you've stitched or that's on your wish list, or just tell me if you've never stitched one. And I was going to give you a Mini Moon, but I suppose if somebody preferred the Christmas one, I will pick a winner for that. All right, then speaking of winners, I had asked you to tell me what you would do with some of these really pretty Bestitch Me silks that I showed last time. I'm not going to show them all again today, but I will take a picture of them so that I can send to the 3 winners so that they know exactly which ones they have to pick from, because they're the only ones I have right now, these colors. So I typed it up because it's so hard to remember who said what, and then I can't read my writing, and so I worked on it all week. Just every time there was a new comment or a couple new comments, I would go and add it to my little sheet here. So anyway, I'm just gonna like quickly read you people's ideas. So Lana McQuaid said, and the idea was, what do you do with some of these that are so highly variegated? Like, just what is your first thought on what you would stitch with it? So Lana said, those silks would work well in a modern version of a Quaker sampler. So yes, Quaker sounds good. I had just done a Quaker in an overdyed, but it was much more subtle than that. Melanie Scott said the more subtle colors would make a nice Quaker sampler. Sandy Kalmeyer said, my first thought was a Quaker chart, especially the seasonal patterns would be stunning. Connie Kirk said sunflower, that's this one, would be pretty on Quaker Bees by From the Heart. Needle Art by Wendy, that's the full name. I don't have that pattern right now. I don't even think I had it at home to show, but anyway, you can look that one up. So I thought that was a good idea. So Quaker was mentioned quite a few times. Susan Gautreau said, I think autumn would be great on leaves, and Stardust would stitch beautiful water or a mermaid tail. So I thought that was a very clever suggestion. Nanette McDougall Dyke said, an amazing autumn stitch. Once Upon a Stitch said that she did Stony Creek's autumn, and the leaves of the tree would look great. So that's another good idea. It doesn't have to be a full design. It could be just parts of it. And then if you're stitching with something that's highly variegated, you can manipulate it so that you would get like one leaf and maybe, you know, a pumpkin color in the next leaf, in a rusty color in the next leaf, in the yellow part, without the leaf being too busy so that you can't tell what the shape is anymore. Sharon Lesbrantz said, I would use either all the colors or sunflower, I lost my place, in a pumpkin pattern. So I thought that was a good idea. Joyce Taunton said, I'd stitch something with flowers in it so the different colors would really show up. Pat Wiggers, an Easter egg pattern or maybe some spring flowers. Charlotte Jorgensen, the silks would look nice as tiny flowers. Glee Hansen, flowers are great in variegated colors, but so are Quaker samplers. All right. Dee Taco said, I would do a monochromatic design, a border around the entire design, or even an alphabet. J.L. Primitive said, a unique sampler border or monochromatic pattern. Honey Bunny said, a single color sampler. RLBXX said, I've seen black floss used to stitch the rabbit on Lottie Da's spring hair, and variegated floss used to stitch the alphabet. It looked really nice. I meant to try to find that someplace because I do belong to a lot of Facebook groups where people share their stitching, but I never had time to do that. But I'm gonna research that and see if I can find out where a picture of that might be. Trish Wells said, I would use the heavier variegated thread for charts with lots of lettering, such as Sweet Wing Studios. I'm a little leery about doing lettering because I want the words to be legible. But I was thinking you could also manipulate it so you would get one word with mostly a purple and the next word in mostly something else. So you could figure it out. I've done some things before where I ripped them out because you couldn't read it, or it looked too messy, or it didn't look intentional. So lettering's a good idea. I think the size of it might matter. Kathy Birch said, I've been thinking about doing the lettering in a 4th of July pattern in a multi red, white, and blue. I would like to see that. I would really like to see that, Kathy. Christy Shepard said, what came to my mind right away was an alphabet sampler or saying, or flowers or water. Cheryl Brumbaugh said, I think the very heavily variegated silks would look good on a monochromatic piece like a long dog sampler or modern folk embroidery. He has a lot of he has a lot of appropriate designs for this. Stitching an alphabet or border would also be nice. Teacher loves beauty, also mentioned folk art embroidery. Linda Bazarski said a monochromatic design like ink circles. DEEB, I immediately thought of ink circles. Edith McClanahan, ink circles or a Bristol sampler. Lori Turner, an ink circles mandala pattern. Jennifer Kelly also said mandala. Susie Moore said a pattern by ink circles would be great, especially stardust. So there's a lot of ink circles that are florals or geometrics without like a specific holiday theme. The ones I had at home, which I meant to bring and I forgot, I have Halloween and Christmas at home. And then Diane Coley said any mono stitch like a mini sampler or ink circles would be really pretty. So ink circles, Tracy, are your ears burning? We're talking about you. Tara Benner said, I'm currently using a variegated silk on a few JBW designs. Christian Lover, JBW designs. And Kathy Stugmeyer said, that blue, I see ocean things there. So I like that comment. And then Deborah Quilt said, you could stitch oceans, flowers, borders, alphabets. So thank you ladies very much for making all those comments and thinking about it and giving such great ideas. And somebody asked me privately, what did you come up with right away? And the first thing I thought of was my Halloween and Christmas ink circles at home. I have a couple other ones too. I have a Mayan design, a Mayan sampler by her. And I have a couple other things, but the ones that came to mind right away were Halloween and Christmas. Not that these would be perfect for it, but I would look at some other Bee Stitch Me silks for that when I place an order next time. I just have a few charts here. Oh, I'm sorry. The winners. So I used the random number generator. I didn't pick my favorite comments because that wouldn't be fair. That's too personal or whatever. So I do use the random number generator and then I number the comments. And the three winners are Cheryl Brumbaugh, Tara Benner, and Jennifer Kelly. And I've notified them already. So just in random order here, this is Summer in the Round, which is one of many rounds that Judy has done for JBW Designs. And I just thought this looked really good with the blue. So I liked that. And then, let's see. Scissortail Designs also has some really lovely monochromatic or just a few colors in the design. And I thought of, something like this would look good for Easter. And then I didn't have the bee from Wendy, but this is part of her monthly Quaker series. And, you could pick out what parts you wanted to do and manipulate the thread or use two different colors. So I thought Wendy's designs was a good idea. And then, there's lots of designs that aren't necessarily a sampler, that are all one color. The lettering here probably would be a little bit easier to read because they're bigger and maybe farther apart. I don't know, that just struck me as something that you could do, something that was a little more variegated. And then Jan Hicks Creates, I thought this Seasons in Lace series, actually a lot of hers would lend themselves to this. This I wouldn't do all in one color because I do like those pops of the lighter color, but you could use several colors. And so I thought a lot of her designs would work. So anyway, I hope you got some good ideas. So I'm going to add some pictures of our Father's Day at the end, and I will be back next week. The patriotic designs are looking a little more sparse each week because people are taking their pieces home, and I might take some of my pieces home too. So I will change that to more of a summer display rather than a patriotic display, maybe next week. So anyway, thanks for watching. All of my contact information is always in the show notes. And if you have any other questions or you want to place an order for something that you saw or just any other random comment, please know that I answer quicker if you email me than if you comment here, because I tend to read these as a group of comments instead of looking every time there's a new comment. So I don't always answer right away. So anyway, just check the ways of contacting me in the show notes. I guess that's it. And I'm excited for, I left a few more pieces with my framer, so I'm excited for those to start coming back. And I'm almost through with some of these other whips, and I think it's time to start a new project within the next couple days. So, and that's a surprise to me. I don't even know what it's going to be. Okay, thanks a lot. Appreciate you all. Bye.